Have you noticed how many people will spend thousands of dollars on therapy to understand why they keep choosing the wrong partner? But in business, when customer keep choosing the wrong company, the advice is almost the same. Post more, improve your marketing, become more visible, work harder. It's interesting that we rarely stop and ask much simpler question. What if people aren't rejecting your value? What if they simply unable to recognize it? Hi, I'm Olia. I'm a writer and strategist, and for the past decades, I work with founders, luxury brands, and growing business trying to solve what looks like a marketing problem. But over the time, I recognized many of those problems weren't really about marketing at all. They were problems of perception. That's what my work explores through systems of meaning, a framework I've been developing to understand how value, trust, legitimacy, identity, belonging are constructed. Because before people can buy something, believing something, or trust someone, they first have to know how to interpret what they are looking at. And I think we've been asking the wrong question. Many of us grew up believing that quality naturally creates recognition. If your work is good enough, people will notice. If you are talented enough, the opportunities will come. If you genuinely care about your clients, they'll tell everyone they know. It's comforting idea because it makes the world feel fair. But reality is far more complicated. You've probably seen incredibly talented people struggle to attract clients, while someone with a half the experience builds a thriving business. It's tempting to explain that away by saying they're simply better at marketing. Sometimes that's true, but I don't think it tells the whole story. I think there's something happening before marketing even has a chance to work. I call it legibility. Legibility is the difference between having value and having value that other people can actually recognize. Imagine a strategist whose greatest skill is diagnosis. Within an hour, she can uncover the real problem behind months of stale growth. Her client described the experience as transformative, but her website says different thing, helping businesses grow through personalized support. Nothing about the description is technically wrong. It just doesn't communicate the level of thinking involved. To someone discovering her for the first time, she doesn't look like a strategic advisor. She looks like another consultant. Now imagine a designer with extraordinary taste. Every decision is intentional, every element has a reason. The simplicity of the work is the result of years of refinement. But the portfolio only shows beautiful images. It never explains the strategic thinking behind those decisions. So the audience compares that work to someone producing attractive designs at half price. Not because the work is equal, because the distinctions remain invisible. Think about a coach whose clients rebuild their confidence, live unhealthy careers, transform relationships, and make decisions they've postponed for years. Yet the public language sounds like motivation, encouragement, support. The real transformation lives inside the experience. The audience only sees the packaging. And here's the uncomfortable truth: the market cannot reward a distinction it cannot perceive. People do not buy your intentions, they do not buy your effort, they do not buy the years you've spent refining your craft. They buy the meaning they are able to construct from the signals in front of them, the words, the examples, the positioning, the reputation, the category they place you in, the comparisons available to them. In other words, people don't experience your work directly. They experience their interpretation of your work. And interpretation is never neutral. This is why two equal skilled people can build completely different businesses. One is seen as strategic, the other one as helpful. One appears as premium, the other appears as expensive. One is invited into bigger conversations. The other struggles to explain why they are different. The difference isn't always talent. Sometimes it's simply the one person's value has become easier to understand. That's why I think so much business advice falls short. It tells people to become louder before asking whether they are being understood. Visibility is powerful, but it amplifies whatever is already exists. If people misunderstand your work today, more visibility often means more people misunderstanding it tomorrow. Before asking, how do I get more attention? A more useful question may be, what story is my business already teaching people to believe? Because your audience is always interpreting something. The only question is whether you are interpreting what actually makes your work. This is one of the central ideas I'll be exploring here on this channel. Not just marketing, but the invisible systems that shape how value becomes recognition, how trust becomes authority, and how identity influences the opportunities we receive. And I'd love to know in the comments what is one part of your work that you know creates enormous value, but your audience still doesn't fully see it.